You should expect a certain level of stability in your educators. I think we're all entitled to that. There are bad teachers out there, but there is a huge difference between bad and seriously dangerous. So for this story, I think we'll call him E, although I guess I could use his real name, considering he's, dead. E was my communications teacher in college. His class was required for my business minor, so there was no getting out of it. About 2 years after I graduated, someone sent me a link on Facebook to a news article, and it was pretty shocking what I read. E had been teaching communications at a different university when he murdered someone in one state, fled to another state, and shot himself during a police standoff.
If you don't know who this is, let me introduce you. This is Rebecca Parham, or as she's better known on YouTube, Let Me Explain Studios. I've been a fan of hers for quite some time, long before my days on the platform. If you didn't already know, Rebecca's channel is one of the largest storytime animators on YouTube, amassing an impressive 2.7 million subscribers. Anyhow, her videos are typically fairly casual, entertaining, and funny. In all honesty, it's a pretty feel-good channel. However, one of her videos actually sent a shiver down my spine. This one in particular. My teacher killed someone. I don't think there's much to explain about the content of that video. The title is fairly straightforward, but to quickly summarize, Rebecca tells the story of the time she had to take a communications class, only to later find out that her teacher would kill someone just a few years after the class had concluded. That teacher being E, as she named him. Since I first came across that video, I was always curious about who E was, but never looked into it as I had no reason to. Until now, that is. Seeing as I have a horror channel and am starved for content, I decided to finally look into the case of E, or as I came to find his name was, Eric Paul Engel. Frankly, I don't know why I never bothered to try and find who he was, as it was actually incredibly easy to find the name of this stranger. In fact, all it took was a simple Google search. Engel, 43 at the time of the murder, was a communications teacher who taught at several different campuses, one of which was where he instructed Rebecca, as previously mentioned. According to many, and to put it bluntly, he wasn't a great teacher. Allegedly, he had difficulty communicating directions for assignments, despite he himself being a communications professor. More than that, Engel was often described as off, for lack of a better word. His demeanor and how he presented himself was often called into question, according to his students, that is. Little did they know at the time, he was a particularly unstable individual. Many knew he was a terrible teacher, much less a great person. But I don't think many would expect him to escalate his odd behavior to murder. At the time of the murder, Engel was working at the University of New Hampshire. On February 14, 2014, Engel shot Alexander Wysocki, 74, early in the morning, his body found at 8:45 a.m. Once discovered, Wysocki was taken to Duke University Medical Center with due haste. Unfortunately, by the time he got there, he was already dead. As for Engel, he was already on the run long before the body was discovered. Fortunately, police were hot on the trail. As it turned out, Engel had fled to another state to avoid the police. Florida, to be exact. There, the Marion County Sheriff's Office received word from investigators that Engel was hiding at a nearby hotel. As soon as the police department received word of Engel's location, they immediately sprung into action. A SWAT team was called in, and they made their way to the resort. There, they surrounded the building, blocking off all exits. They called to Engel, exclaiming that they had the building surrounded and that he should surrender. Yet, they received no answer. After some time, they approached Engel's room. There, they found his corpse. The cause of his death? A self-inflicted gunshot wound. Engel had bled out, leaving whoever found the body probably mortified. After a brief period, and with nothing else to conclude from the case, it was closed. Some saw Engel's death as justice for what he did to Wisaki, while others believed justice could never be achieved for Wisaki. In the end, Captain Don Hamilton of the Criminal Investigations Division of the Cary Police Department had this to say: "At this point, we feel confident that there is an end to the Wisaki tragedy."